Hello, and welcome back to my channel where I usually talk about historical costuming projects, but today I thought I would take you on a little journey to my beginnings as a costumer, really. I started with cosplay. These are two of the very first Padme costumes that I ever made for myself, and I wore them to my first Star Wars convention, Celebration 3, back in 2005. I had very little experience with draping or patterning of any kind, and certainly no experience trying to make something screen accurate, which neither of these are perfect, but I did the best I could with the limited time and, like I said, experience that I had available to me at the time. I wanted to do a little look back at these two costumes in particular because I have just sold them and they will be going on to a new home to somebody who will get use out of them because I can no longer wear either of them. They're both much too small and I will never get back down to the size I was when I was a sophomore in college. That's just not happening. So I am glad to send them on to a new home where they will be used and loved. But before I do that, I just wanted to spend some time looking at them and sort of reacquainting myself with what I did back then. I didn't have a blog or obviously a YouTube channel at the time, so I didn't keep track. I wasn't taking photos, didn't even own a digital camera or a cell phone at the time. So I wasn't able to document the making of these dresses. So for this video I will be showing you the insides and sort of the mechanics of how I made them, the choices I made, and just how they worked and how I wore them. By the way, how do you like my little casual Padme bound outfit today? I was having fun. I think I'll start with this one. I believe it's the first one that I found fabric for when I was making these costumes, back when I decided I was going to go to the convention, my first ever. I found this fabric at a place that I believe no longer exists. It was called Mill End Textiles in Rochester, Minnesota. My mom took me there and I was blown away by the amount of fabric and the price of everything, which was crazy reasonable to my new little sewist's mind. And I found this, which is, it's a cotton and it is ruched on the back. It has these elastic threads running in parallel lines all along the back that gather it up into this sort of wavy textured pattern. I don't know what to call it. So it is 100% cotton, which meant that I could dye it because it was not teal when I got it. It was off-white. But I knew I wanted to replicate this dress as accurately as possible, so I figured I would just start with the textured fabric and go from there. I had never dyed fabric before, so that was an adventure. It was really cheap. I think it was like $4 a yard or something. And I think I bought all that was left, which wasn't very much. I think it was only like 4 yards or something. So I had very limited fabric to work with and I barely eked out this dress from it. Even though it doesn't really look like it would take that much because there's quite a lot of skin showing, but with all of the directions that the waves and the sleeve has to be cut in one, it eats up a lot and you would be surprised. I actually had to piece these gussets into the side seam of the skirt and I piece them diagonally as well. It's really hard to tell when it's being worn, fortunately, but it took a lot of really interesting piecing to get it to work. cutting it out was an adventure. I must have spent hundreds of hours staring at screenshots and zooming in on high-resolution exhibit images. I would not have been able to make either of these without the invaluable research compiled by Maggie of Padawan's Guide. Thank you, Maggie. But I think I did a fairly good job of making it reasonably screen accurate, even though I know the color is not actually true to the original. It's actually a little closer to this. It's more of a French blue, really, when you see photos of it in real life, but on screen it did look this color on the deleted scenes of Attack of the Clones. So I did the best I could. The skirt is just a wrap, and I tucked the waistband into a pair of shorts that I wore underneath. And actually I don't know what to call these, but these sort of appendages that come down in the back, I safety pinned to the back waistband of those shorts just to keep them anchored in place, because if I attached them to the skirt, it would just pull up and then I would lose any, you know, downward tension on these, which really keep the bodice in place, so that was very necessary to have. So it was an interesting garment to wear. Also, I did not have a, 6-inch long invisible separating zipper, which would have been ideal, I think, to fasten that. So what I did was I just unzipped to the bottom where the zipper is very firmly fastened to, both sides together, and I put it on over my head. That gave me just enough room to maneuver the neck opening over my head, and then I would have to have somebody else zip it in the back for me. I couldn't quite reach that myself. Both of these required some assistance getting into and out of. I didn't at the time have good enough high-resolution images of what this beading was, and it turns out they're actually tiny little shells, sort of embroidered onto the seams. So I just used the next best thing, which were these little crystal beads in 2 different colors of green. I no longer have the original headband that I made to wear with this. It was very hastily glued together at sort of the last minute before the convention, and it has since disintegrated. I cut it out of an old, very cheap vinyl vest that I think was my sister's, and it just happened to be the right color, so I just cut out the design that's embossed onto what I believe is leather of the original headband and glued it, probably with hot glue, I'm not sure. It might have been fabric tack. Just glued it on and then sort of pinned it to my head. I did have a hairpiece for the ponytail curl extravaganza that her hairstyle is. I did dye my hair brown for the convention. It's not the best look on me. I probably won't be doing it again. And I never did get colored contacts. I had a website at the time called Blue-Eyed Padme, because I just decided that was going to be my handle. I would be Blue-Eyed Padme, and I just wouldn't get contacts, partly because I was afraid of them, and mostly because I couldn't afford them at the time. So that was just a part of the costume that I left aside. I'm not gonna worry about it. But I did dye my hair brown. Okay, moving on to this one. I really loved this gown in the film. It's one of my favorites, and I hunted for this fabric, which I believe I also got at Mill End Textiles, and I got quite a lot of it. I think it was like 8 yards, 8 or 9, and it is a jersey knit, but it's much thicker of a knit than I wish I had used. It's more like a sweatshirt fabric. It's really cozy, and actually wearing this, it is one of the most comfortable costumes I have ever worn. Highly recommend. If I was cold, I could just cross my arms over my tummy and then I was completely covered. It was great. This one took even more squinting at screenshots and drawing on printouts of screenshots with different colored lines, trying to figure out what in the world is going on here, because it is a little crazy in its original form. And this one again I wore over pants, like I think shorter capri pants, and tucked this part isn't attached really, it just gets tucked in. I do remember it being a struggle figuring out how this whole thing went together but then would hang correctly. It was so interesting. And I was in the costuming side of the Star Wars message board, theforce.net, which is actually where I met my husband. Not in the costuming section, in a different area of the boards, but that's how we met. And I remember getting just a lot of help and advice on how to construct this, how to make the draping all happen. This cape is my absolute favorite part. I love it so much. And it is basically a big sort of egg-shaped, with a little bit of a point at this end, circle. Not a circle, but just one big piece, and then a slit cut where the shoulders go, and then it just kind of tucks around the shoulders and then goes under the arms to attach at the back, if that makes sense. I may have to draw a diagram to make that explanation even remotely make sense. I made a stamp of the stylized symbol here and stamped it just kind of all over. I tried to somewhat replicate the original. I think I made my stamp just slightly bigger in scale. I think if it was only like maybe half an inch shorter end to end, it would be just about perfect. I think I used silver acrylic paint because I knew that would be permanent. I just love it so much. I want to remake this, and I have better fabric now, more lycra knit and a lot thinner and drapier and the perfect color. Has a nice sheen to it. It's beautiful. I don't know when I'm going to make that or what for, really. It's been a while since I've been to a convention, and yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I might do like a Disney bound version of it. Technically Padme bounding is Disney bounding now. And then the hood I wasn't super happy about because I couldn't get the edge to stay at the neck, and it just got really bulky. I probably should have done like a facing around there, but I didn't. I do think the shape of the hood is correct. I honestly don't know how I made the hood. I couldn't tell you. It's very bizarre. I'm leaning more towards a Disney-bound version just because I think my midriff-bearing days might be over. Anyway, the bodice of this one I built over actually a t-shirt that I owned. That was kind of the easiest way, was just to put the t-shirt on a dress form, drape the fabric where it was going to be, pin it all in place, I think with safety pins so that I could try it on and make sure it was going to look good on me, and then just stitch everything down where it ended up being. For this one, I did have to make a lining slash base out of, I think it's a tricot knit in a similar color. Not that it shows, well, it does show a little bit on the back, but tried to match the color as best as I could. I don't remember much about that. I might have just used the same pattern pieces that we sort of constructed for the outer fabric for the lining as well, and then bag lined it, I think. Because of course I wanted the lining to have the same amount of stretch as the outer fabric so that I would be able to get in and out of it, and it's needed to be fairly form-fitting, so that seemed to work out fairly well. I had a lot of fun making them. I learned a lot. Dyed fabric for the first time, draped a garment for the first time, patterned crazy bodice pieces for the first time, fabric stamped for the first time. Just a lot of new knowledge that I would not have had without this sort of experiment. And I also want to give a quick shout out to the costume shop supervisor at my college when I worked there, and she helped me with both of these so much. Jean actually taught me how to dye fabric and helped me with my poring over of screenshots and trying to suss out all the different directions the fabric was going and how to create both of these. So I owe a huge debt of thanks to Jean for making these dream costumes a reality for me. Thank you. I had a lot of fun being Padme. She's one of my favorite characters, has one of the best wardrobes of certainly any sci-fi character that I can think of. I mean, Leia's a close second, I think, but Padme, ooh, she's got some looks. I don't know if I'll be doing much cosplay in the future. I kind of shifted my focus to be on historical costuming, and now I'm sort of shifting again and working on more everyday wear that I would like to add to my own everyday wardrobe and be able to wear out in public on a regular basis. But who knows, I may circle back and do some cosplay again sometime. I did really enjoy it and had a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoyed coming along with me on this journey to the past. If you did enjoy this video, please do give me a like, and if you want to see more, definitely subscribe, and we'll have more adventures. I'll see you soon. Bye.